right. Hey, everyone. We are here with Brittany, Essential Endeavors. We're, doing the series on resellers pursuing financial independence. This is a monthly series where we talk with and learn from resellers in the community about what financial independence means to them and their strategies on maybe retiring comfortably, maybe retiring early. Who knows? We'll talk about that hopefully too. We are so glad that you could be here. If you are joining us live, thank you so much for being here. And if you're watching the replay, awesome. Please leave a like either way. And again, we have Brittany over at Essential Endeavors. If you're not following her on or subscribe to her on YouTube, please do. We have her information in the description. So why don't you give us a quick intro of who you are and kind of how long you've been reselling, and maybe as a bonus, your favorite category to resell.
Ooh, okay. Well, hello, you guys. My name's Brittany over at Essential Endeavors with a U on YouTube. I feel like it's like it's like more of the global spelling of endeavors. So I'd like to throw that in there. I should have put it on my little thing. But anyways, thank you, Camille and Kang, for having me. I really appreciate it. This has been a long time in the works. They asked me back in October, November, and when I was in my groove of YouTube, and then another wave of depression hit, and then I was very inconsistent, and now I'm back. And so thankfully it came at a good time, but I appreciate you guys being very patient with me. So thank you. And thank you for everybody for joining us live or watching the replay. Definitely make sure to hit the like button. But yeah, me in a nutshell, I've been on YouTube now for almost 2 years. In May, it'll be 2 years. And I've been reselling officially since the summer of 2019. So now we're coming up on 3. What year is it? 2022? 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so bad. Oh gosh, I was telling him earlier before we started, I'm like, I probably need to sit back here so you guys can't see my wrinkles because I'm 25 and I look like I'm hitting 32. Oh boy. So I started officially reselling summer of 2019. That's when I officially, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the thrift store. I'm going to buy low, sell it for a profit. This is going to be a business. And I started on eBay then, and I was already on Mercari because I was on Mercari for many years prior to that, unofficially reselling, selling stuff that I had, my husband had, just little knickknacks around the house, and sometimes buying some stuff at thrift stores that I knew was a name brand. And I'm like, I can pick this up for $1. I know I can sell it on this little app thing called Mercari and make $20. So sure, let's do that. Nice. So I was doing that for actually a handful of years before that. I want to think it was 2013 or 2014 when I started over on Mercari, which I feel like
I didn't even know it existed that long.
Oh gosh, and it rivaled with Vinted at the time. Do you have ever heard of Vinted? It was it was actually a big thing back then, but now it's nobody knows about it.
Right.
Anyways.
No one talks about it anymore.
Yeah. No. I think I actually saw a commercial about it 6 months ago, and I'm like, what? And they must be really digging for help here. But that's mean. I shouldn't say that.
I've heard that it's more popular in other countries. In European countries, Vinted is a big thing, but
I didn't know that.
Don't quote me on that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me see. Oh, and then I started in Poshmark early 2020, and that's I'm now selling Poshmark and Mercari only. I quit eBay for a while last year. I couldn't with my mental health, I didn't have the patience for it, more or less. Right. So I'm taking a break. I broke up with eBay, at least for the time being. I'm not opposed to going back to them, but just for the time being, we're separated.
Yeah.
Give it another go some other time. Maybe.
Yeah, there's less grace. There's less grace on eBay than there is on Poshmark and Mercari.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyways, I ended up finding reselling officially when I was in my grad program. I wanted to have just a fun little part-time job that I could be very flexible with. I found it because of YouTube. I ended up finding the Crazy Lamp Lady. I tried doing hard goods. I failed miserably, but I've been doing clothing and shoes for years.
We totally feel that.
Yeah, that's not good. So I ended up doing clothing and shoes, and that is kind of my niche. I know you asked that, Kang. I talk a lot. Now you see why editing my videos takes forever.
No worries. We love it.
So I think that answered your question. I've been reselling for handful of years. I enjoy it. I do it very part-time right now while I get back into the groove of life and attempting to find balance. But I don't know if anybody ever truly has that. And life is always throwing curveballs at us. So I'm doing my best, but I do have time in the books to get stuff pictured and listed tomorrow. And I'm so excited about it. So
Nice. That's awesome.
But yeah,
It's
I
good
hope
to
that,
get back into the groove of reselling once in a while when you've taken a break, you know.
Mhm.
Some of it just re-excites the I guess the passion in us. If we ever take a break, it's like, oh yeah, we can get back to the groove now.
yeah. And I think that's kind of the same thing in any avenue of life is like, once you kind of like plateau or like you just get bored with something, like sometimes you need to just take a break. And then once you have that break, I mean, who knows how long that is? And then you jump back and then you have, you know, passion again and you ignite that fire in you is my analogy.
Yeah.
I've used lately. I'm enjoying it. I was telling him before we started that I pre-filmed 3 videos today. Like I haven't done that in a long time. So I'm excited. I feel like I'm back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. You're miles ahead of us. We don't pre-film pretty much anything.
Yeah, we can't do more than we've realized that our limit is 2 videos and we have to take a big break in between. Like they cannot be like back to back because you can tell in our videos and it's like the second video that we filmed that day because we were like
no energy.
Yeah.
No, I mean it varies. I wasn't always like that even when I was on top of my game. And just and sometimes you just have to listen to your body, and when you feel drained, just take some time. So, but yeah, you guys also work like during the day, so
yeah. Well, Kang does. I actually am a full-time reseller now.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's like half of your party is working during the day.
Yeah,
it's hard to film. Yeah. I mean, I guess you can still film, which you guys do individually film sometimes. So. But I also like guys as a together.
Well, Kang is involved in all of it. He even when it's just me, he's also there because he's the YouTube person.
You have to set up the camera and the equipment.
There.
Aww.
I just show up. I just show up at the time and speak, you know, that sort of thing. But he's behind all of the technology of it all. So
that's how I am in our relationship. My husband, he's like, babe, here, I don't know what to do. Just try. So,
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got the Hoogs here. Hey, Hoogs. Thanks for coming. Hey, so we usually bring things to an opening with the quick sick icebreaker questions. So we're going to just ask you some really quick questions. It's kind of like this or that type of questions. And we'd love to kind of see where you're at with these.
Okay. So the first is, if you won $500,000 in a lottery, would you want one lump sum or payments over time?
Ooh. Oh no, is this supposed to be rapid fire?
Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
You have to answer quickly.
Oh no. I feel like we're really good with our money, so we could take it as a lump sum. Whereas I feel like if somebody wasn't very good with their money, they would need it spaced out over time. So like if we had all that money right now, we would invest in probably like our future lot land, like which we've been eyeing before. Who knows how the market's going to be? Who knows? We know for sure, like we would have our forever home lot of land, and then we would pay off one of the homes that we have right now that we intend to keep as a rental home, and then go on vacations because we love to travel. So we would take a lump sum, and that sounds bad. We saved too, so like over probably 70% of that would be saved, and then the rest of it, with how we live our lives, would be able to be used for everything else.
Solid. We do probably a very similar thing, so we like that. So speaking of investments and other such things, would you prefer low risk, steady returns, or high risk, huge potential?
I'm very conservative, low risk.
There you go. Easy peasy.
Yeah, at least as guaranteed. So I'd rather it be lower risk and just stability, more or less. I like that.
Yeah. Same for us.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so vacation or staycation?
Oh, vacation. Vacation.
Yeah.
But now it's difficult now because now we have Ellie, our baby puppy. If you guys don't know, anybody watching live, We have an 8-month-old little mini Aussie Doodle puppy, and I was telling Kane,
So cute.
I was telling him before, I'm like, I feel like a brand new mom, like how like they always talk about their kids and everything that they're doing. I'm like that with our puppy, and I'm like, oh no, I'm becoming one of those people. So my point to that was, now it's difficult. It's like, ooh, now we need to like take her to family to watch while we're gone. Like, granted, COVID is still kind of a thing right now. You have to pass a COVID test at least 72 hours before you travel internationally. And I don't know what's going to happen 3 days before I travel. With my luck, I'd end up getting it or having some sort of variant that makes me test positive. We're vaccinated, but still, like, who knows with variants and stuff. Anyways, it makes it kind of difficult, but sorry. Vacation. We do like staycations.
Yeah.
Vacation.
Yeah, we're kind of in the same boat. We were supposed to, like last week, we had planned this trip to Mexico. We had like booked our flights, booked our hotel and all this stuff, and we canceled it because we were just like so nervous about being out of the country and then not being able to get back in. And so it just was like so much uncertainty around it versus, like before it was so easy, like I would have never thought before 2020 that I would ever be like denied entry into the US, but now it's like, oh yes, it could happen,
Yeah,
so,
it's scary.
yeah.
But the good thing is there's also an in-between into that. I know, like, we always like, left versus right, black versus white kind of thing. But road trip in the United States of America in this country is beautiful, guys. So it's kind of vacation, but kind of rich, like just travel. That's what me and Tim have always said.
Yeah.
Well, we were gonna go to like Iceland for a week here in a few months, and now we're like, ooh, I don't know, with like the whole COVID, like being able to test, negative. Make sure you test negative within 72 hours before you go. So now we're thinking about like doing a road trip to the west or like the northeast. We still haven't traveled up to the northeast, but anyways, you'll have to stop me when I ramble, you guys.
No worries. We like to listen. So either way, that's solid because we were thinking about alternatives too, and we kind of like road tripping. And I say that because I'm the one who drives mostly, so it's kind of tough for me. But
well, I do have to say he doesn't like when I drive, so it's not really that I don't want to drive; it's that he doesn't want me to drive, which is understandable because I'm a bad driver. So
no, it's practice. What you need to do is when you get into the middle of nowhere, then Camilla can drive because there's nobody else on the road.
Yeah, exactly. Just as long as he doesn't look at the speedometer. That's the only thing.
I went through a phase of being a Speedy Gonzalez, but I'm not. I'm a grandma now. I maybe drive 5 over. I'll have you know.
Wow.
Oh. Very good. Okay, so the next question, the next icebreaker is, what do you enjoy more, cooking for someone or someone cooking for you?
Oh, it depends. Gosh, you guys.
Depends on who's cooking, like who's cooking for you, right? If they're any good or not.
It all depends. Like, oh gosh, I do enjoy cooking. It's fun and it's very satisfying when the people that you've cooked for really enjoy your food. But also it's like some things just taste better when somebody else cooks it for you. Like, for example, every time we go to Georgia, that's where I'm from. My grandma always cooks. She's just a Southern grandma and she's the best and I love her. But every time she cooks, it's just amazing. No matter what it is. It could be the most basic food or the most like, it could be Thanksgiving. It doesn't matter. It's always amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So would you rather have free travel for 1 year or free lodging for 2 years?
Travel for a year because we have a lot of hotel points from which we can talk about later. So we already got the lodging covered.
Yeah, nice.
I'm working.
Well, what would you do?
I don't know.
I think I would do the travel too.
I think we could travel a lot. Like if we had our like mortgage covered for 2 years, we could probably travel a lot anyway. Like we could.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So either way is good. But if you've got hotel points, all the better. That's amazing.
Oh gosh, I didn't even think about like, okay, if we're like straight a year or just free travel. Oh gosh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
bills and
Yeah.
then our pets. Oh gosh, maybe we would road trip
Yeah.
North America. Maybe we go all the way down to South America. That would be our traveling for a year. We'd
That
bring our
would be
pets
fun.
with us. We wouldn't be in this house anymore.
Mhm.
And there we go. And
Yeah.
Nice.
we'd have the ambulance. So there you go.
Mhm.
Okay, last question for you. This one is kind of a deep question.
Oh,
Are you the type of person who needs a pep talk or just a motivational quote to get you started to do something, any action?
I don't think I'm either. I used to think, that is a deep question. I don't feel that motivation from others usually, or like words. It all starts within myself. So maybe it's like motivation quotes within myself that I've told myself. So like, for example, like if you've watched my channel, I've kind of been a little bit open about how I've struggled with like a depressive season lately. And I've really just been focusing on it. I've gone to therapy and just trying to work on it. And really it's in my own internal dialogue that I'm having to overcome, like my own mental barriers. So, you know the old saying, like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Like you can tell me what all I need to do all day long. It's simple. Like how I used to be 5 years ago. I would tell somebody if they were sad, oh, just go take a walk. And 30 minutes in nature is just as good as a SSRI. Or you just need to eat healthier. You just need to exercise regularly. I am guilty of saying that. Like I used to not really believe that it was a thing, but it is a thing now that I've experienced it. And sometimes people can tell you everything, but it just doesn't seep in. And I know you probably mean this more in a way of like being motivated to like, save money or invest or like reselling and stuff. But I feel like it's kind of similar. Like you have to want it for yourself. You have to find that drive within yourself and be honest. So I know it's probably not the right answer, or like the answer you're
That's a
looking
fair answer. That's totally fair and very relevant to the things that you've been, working on. So I love that answer.
Okay, that's an
And
honest
with regard to
Yeah.
What about you? I mean,
Well-
and I don't mean that to be offensive in any way. Like I know there are some people that are very motivated by motivational speaking and inspirational quotes and stuff. So do you guys feel like you fit into that category as well, or do you feel like your motivation comes from other things?
I feel like similar to you, where I've internalized a lot of lessons that I've learned, whether it be from hearing others or going to a training of some sort, personal development, whatever it is. I've internalized certain lessons that, in a way, I've given myself pep talks of, okay, you need to do this or that. So if I had to cheat the question a little bit, I would give myself a pep talk, not necessarily someone else.
Yeah,
So
that's true. I think that's valid. I think that's probably what I got to do. What I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Good questions, you guys.
Thanks. We've got Chris over at Cajun Reseller here. Hey, Chris.
Hi.
And Joe over at Joe Dempsey Sales.
Thank you guys.
Thanks so much for Thanks so much for joining us live. Okay, so before we begin with the actual financial independence related things, we just have to say that the information in the show is not meant to be financial advice in any way. Don't get Brittany or us in trouble. It's just for really just entertainment. So we're going to talk about our thoughts on financial independence, pursuing financial independence, our strategies, and things like that. So, we like to start with a working definition of when financial independence is when your investments, your savings, passive income is greater than or equal to your expenses. So basically, it will pay for your living, and you don't need to necessarily work for it, right? So whether those investments have dividends or you have cash flow in some way, that's basically what we're talking about, meaning you no longer have to work if you don't want to. So getting to do what you want, anywhere you want, any way you want. Do you have anything to add to that, Brittany?
No, I agree with that. And I feel like financial independence is also achieved, I think is the right word, when you don't fall victim to lifestyle inflation. So it's the same kind of definition, but I just want to kind of throw on that little asterisk because it's very easy to, you know, get a bonus or make some more money. And really, you probably should be falling under that category of you're making enough, like to completely provide for your living expenses, like probably double or triple that. But for whatever reason, you're not saving, you're not investing. You know, usually you have to look back at your budget and you probably have fallen victim to lifestyle inflation. So I think financial, like just a little asterisk right there. But I think the definition is pretty spot on. I mean, that's how we like to try to live our life as well. Just remind that too.
Yeah.
Like, because we make the money doesn't mean we actually need this, or we ate out once this week. We don't need to do it 3 times or 4 times.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so for anyone who in the audience who doesn't know, lifestyle inflation is a term for when your earnings increase, your spending increases in kind of the same way, because you trick yourself into thinking, oh, well, I'm making more money so I can spend more money, which I guess is true. But if your goal is to achieve financial independence and your goal is to live a lifestyle, you know, where you're able to eventually retire, or you want to, you know, save your money, then that's not something that you want. So that's often, you know, the way that it's used is like you're trying to keep up with the Joneses.
You're right.
So just so that I don't know where everyone is in terms of like, we listen to a lot of podcasts on financial independence. So there's a lot of like different terms and things that I just want to make sure everyone understands.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
No, that's good.
We totally understand it.
That's part of why we are inviting people, is because, you know, we get to talk about these different concepts and things like that. So
really, it's about the balance of it all, right? We all want to live a life that we enjoy, right? It's not just about making money, stowing it away for hopefully getting to retire early and then spending it all at once, or, you know, enjoying the lifestyle 10 years down the road, right? We want to enjoy the journey, right? And so that's hugely important, and it sounds like you've definitely got that great mindset too. So, you know, kind of speaking to this idea of enjoying the journey, why can you tell us a little bit about why you're pursuing financial independence and, you know, what you hope to achieve? We like to think of, you know, it's the why of FI.
Why of FI? Oh, cute. Okay. So why do we want to be financially independent? That is a great question. Well, I guess, so my husband and I both do not come from money. And we were never really handed anything. Like, we weren't really given anything. We had to work for it, and we had to see like our mothers and our grandparents work really hard to provide what we needed. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of wants there, but there was what we needed, and we were able to, you know, and compare. That sounds, it is very privileged still, like with, you know, given the situation of being born in America and living in this country. So yes, it might have been lower class for here, but still, that in comparison to other parts of the world, I understand that is still extremely, incredibly privileged. So I just want to throw that out there. But financial independence, we just want to be able to kind of like what you're talking, like just live the life that we want to live and not feel like we're, you know, in the ball and chain, so to say, like slaves to the hamster wheel. Like we just, you know, don't want to, I don't know. I mean, I know some people live to work, and some people work to live, but it's like we want to try to have that balance in between, like work because we're passionate about it, find that passion that we want to work for, because money is a necessary evil. So it's like trying to find this balance in money. Money is like such a term that is taboo a lot of the time, and people don't want to talk about it, but it's what makes the world go round. And I don't know, we just don't want to worry about numbers all the time. Like, just get to a point where we have created habits that are good, and we can sustain that lifelong. Does that make sense? I feel like I need water.
I totally get that. Yeah, take a swig while I have some commentary. So we totally vibe with that, because as you're talking, you know, it reminds me of all the reasons why we are pursuing financial independence. You know, we don't want to have that mental space taken by, do we have enough money for our bills? Do we have enough money for, you know, an emergency, right? It's this idea that you have enough, but also you're pursuing something for the future where
Right.
you don't have to worry about the future. And so I totally get that. We totally understand the reasoning behind that is that it takes up so much mental space from so many Americans, right? There's a statistic out there that I don't want to really misquote, but not even 50% of people have $1,000 for an emergency. And so that mental space of that worrying of, is my car going to break down? Am I going to have enough to replace it or whatever? That is just so destructive, I guess. And so,
It's
for us,
yeah.
And so for us, it has a little bit of that, but also, we have so many hopes and dreams for our family and all of that. So there is a very bright side to financial independence. We think about what we hopefully will not worry about, but that you have to get over that hump first, right? When people are getting out of debt and all of that, there is a bright side over that mountain that people have to climb, that is debt. And so
I feel like that's I guess where I was kind of getting at is like there's like this huge the money topic is just like this angry cloud. Like people don't want to talk about it, they don't want to think about it, like don't want to know about their numbers, like they just like, paycheck to paycheck, and that in and of itself causes so much stress, and it's very mentally consuming, and I don't have time for that. So it's like, well, what can we do now to make sure we don't have that stress? We don't that is like one of the big things that stresses out a lot of Americans, just people in the world in general, is money. So if we can just rule that out, then we can focus on what we really want to do. We can focus on things that make us excited to work and to be able to make multiple streams of income and plan for the future, but also be able to live life now comfortably. But like we have become comfortable living below our means. And I know it's very different for everybody else, but by doing so, we're also able to enjoy the things that we enjoy. For us, it's not, super fancy cars. It's not super fancy clothes, even though like I'll resell some fancy clothes sometimes. But for me personally, I don't need that. Like I'm good. So, by kind of shifting that mindset, we're able to still enjoy our life, but be able to save along the way. So I guess financial independence is just not being able or not living a life where we're dependent on money that we don't have, like, being in debt, credit card debt, having that looming cloud of money. Like, I don't want it to be that darkness. I want it to be fun and enjoyable, but not like, a slave to it. I guess that's my interpretation of like independence. So, and then there's many avenues of how we're achieving that and how, our ideas of it. But I hope that answered the question.
Yeah.
We love that. That we totally vibe with that. No worries.
So let's say hi and thank you to some people in the chat, and then we'll ask you.
Thank you so much. She was so excited to know that you're going to come on with us. And
I love her. She is so sweet. She's a really good friend. Yeah, she's very sweet.
Thank you so much for being here.
I can't see any comments on mine. I'm on my phone, you guys. So I normally probably would be looking at comments, but I can't see anything. So I will go back and reply to comments later.
She sent us this really cute sticker of this little fox cheering for us.
It's so cute.
So we've got arbitrage with Amber. She's also pursuing financial independence. She asked a very fun question, just a very hypothetical. You get $1,000 to invest, but you have to pick individual stocks. What are you investing in? This is very relevant to, I think, the venture, or you're venturing into recently. Right?
Do you want me to answer this first? Oh, I guess Amber said. Oh, whoops.
She's asking you.
Oh gosh. So I recently just got into dabbling into individual stocks, and trying to learn that realm. So please, you guys, do not take my advice for professional opinions or anything.
Not investing advice.
Just kind of like what we talked about earlier, like just, low risk, but steady reward over time. Like I would just want to start dabbling into some of those big companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, which I have, portions of shares of those and stuff. But,
Mhm.
Over a 5-year span, 10-year, 15-year for some of these places, they're just consistently going up. And it's like almost a part of our everyday life where I'm like, okay, they're not going anywhere. It's going to keep going up. So yes, I'm buying in at a higher rate, for a share of the stock, or one stock, whatever it may be. But over the next 5 years,
Mhm.
10 years, it looks very hopeful that it will continue to increase. So I think I would just divvy it up between
Yeah.
a lot of like those big companies. And then I'm also, I'm trying to pick the brain of some of like my friends and family and stuff, because they know of like really good like startups. And I'm like, okay, well, once I kind of get like my portfolio of that situated, then we'll start dabbling into some startups and see where we can go from there. But $1,000, I think the smart way is just like that low risk, long-term reward.
Mhm.
Is that boring? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
We totally
Yeah.
we totally agree with that. Before we got married, I had dabbled in a few stocks, and we still hold on to it. It continues to grow, but we've mostly been investing in long term, broad based index funds like the
Yeah.
total stock market index and things like that.
Yep.
So we totally get it. Low risk,
Mhm.
low-ish rewards, but it's
Yeah.
pretty safe.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I guess $1,000
So don't worry about it.
isn't that much. But the S&P 500 is like
Mhm.
a no-brainer too, because they already invest
Yeah.
in those companies. So maybe that's
Exactly.
smarter. I don't know. It's still fun to be like, oh, I own a share of Tesla or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's boring to say, oh yeah, I have one share of the total stock market index. Lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are like, oh, fancy, especially if nobody knows what it is. So, anyways, that's
Yeah.
Right.
thanks for your question,
People
Amber.
don't really understand it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got Marcus over at Dixon's Pickens here,
Hi.
and Chris says, I like dividend stocks. We like
Mhm.
dividend stocks, but
Yeah.
not well. The thing is, the total stock market index, the index funds actually pay out a dividend. So it's
Mhm.
kind of a pseudo thing there.
Mhm.
But awesome.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about why you're pursuing financial independence, but what are kind of the elements of how you're getting there? What are kind of some of the things that you're doing?
You
Is
had,
it
you had mentioned keeping your costs low and
Mhm.
living below your means.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other?
I don't know if I mentioned this too, but so my husband, I think I've said it online, but just generally speaking, he's military. And so he has, a good stable income for our family. And then I've been able to kind of do some pursuits and be able to find like other passive income streams for us, some side hustles to be able to build that for the rest of our lives too. Because with his career, since it was already kind of set in stone before we, even started dating and then got married, they have a fabulous retirement plan and pension. And so at 20 years, we'll be able to retire out of the military. And for him, he'll be 41, and I'm 4 years younger than him, so I'll be 37 at the time. And so at that, we
Nice.
talked about it a lot. We're like, what the hell are we gonna do? And it's like, well, whatever we want.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, a lot of people probably don't know, but just for example's sake, 50% of like your highest 3 years of pay. So if for whatever reason, those highest 3 years, we only got like $5,000 a month every month, then you get 50% of that every month for the rest of your life. So we would for sure get $2,500 every month for the rest of our lives. Well, at least his life. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. Knock on wood. But and then we both have healthcare too. So anyways, the retirement benefits are fabulous. You only have to do 20 years, and you got to do 20 years somewhere. So that's something that we have definitely toyed with. I mean, we've been married for this year will be 7 years together, for a little over 8. And so that's something that we've gone back and forth with. But over the last few years, we for sure were like, okay, we're going to make this a career. And I, there's a lot of behind the scenes, but I help him a lot with that. But he, of course, is the face of that career set. But because of that stability, I've been able to do YouTube and reselling, and we started a second channel. We have projects that we're doing for hopefully more future side hustles / passive income. Just, we can talk about that later. But because of that stability, I've been able to do all these different pursuits. But we've been able to live off of the one income, if that makes sense. So I think that's like kind of a good rule of thumb. I mean, I know we're privileged. We have 2 incomes, but if you are in a relationship, whether it's a partnership, a marriage, whatever it is, if you can learn to live off of one person's income, which I think is pretty doable, then everything else is helping you get to your financial independence goals. So, whether that's paying off debt, like, oh gosh, I forgot to mention, like when we first got married, my husband had student loan debt, but we paid that off within the first year.
Nice.
And he like bought my rings on a credit card, and we paid that off pretty quick. I'm like, I'm not doing debt. I don't do debt. We own our cars.
Good.
That kind of fun stuff. So I forget about all these things that like are normal things, but we like to pay for everything outright. We don't like to owe anything, but we do have credit cards because we like to reap the benefits of stuff that we're already
Points.
Yeah. So, what other avenues? So I guess just spending the time to like learn the time right now. I guess time is your most valuable asset. So now I'm learning about investments. We already have retirement accounts through like the military and my own, but then now I've just started dabbling into like individual stocks and through Robinhood. So I'm starting to learn a little bit about that just because why not? We have the time. So I guess to answer your question, Camilla, I'm so sorry. This is going to be a recurring thing this entire life. I just talk forever. I don't know, all these different, we have a bunch of different avenues. We have a home when we lived out in Kentucky that we rent out, so we have some cash flow from that.
Nice.
Pretty much just pays for our mortgage. We have a little bit of cash flow, a few $100, but it still helps. And I don't know. I'm jumping ahead of the gun, but we have like a long-term goal of having 5 rental homes by the time we retire out of the military, and hopefully that will cash flow if they're all paid off.
Most of your expenses.
This is going to get into the nitty-gritty, which I don't know if everybody wants to know. So I'll just, did that answer the question?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, so kind of along the way is that, your husband works and then he has his pension. So that's part of your retirement plans in the future. And then, you use your income to save and invest pretty much exclusively. And then you have, your investments are obviously growing in your retirement funds. And then now you're starting in on individual stocks. And then you have these rental properties that you own. Yeah. And that hopefully will just one.
We have one for rental. We're living in our second home, but we originally were going to keep it as a rental, but things have changed. We don't really like the area. We're just going to sell this house and maybe get like, it's a new home, so maybe 10 grand, 15 grand off of it. Not a whole lot, but obviously we'll save that or just kind of split it up, pay off some principal, which I know is kind of like a unpopular opinion sometimes in the real estate financial world. Like they're like, no, just let your tenants pay it all and refinance and just I don't know. We want to be able to own. Like all of our rental homes we want to own. So that way, if we do hit another recession and the banks call their notes, we don't want to be that far into debt.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Nothing, so.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Yeah. So I have a follow-up question about the rental property and kind of your goal with all of that. So what got you started in kind of doing that? Was it just that when you were moving from Kentucky, you thought, I don't want to sell this house, I want to kind of keep it? What kind of started you on that? And then what kind of sort of advice or things would you tell someone if they were thinking about getting into owning rental properties as a way of getting that cash flow?
The income. And I think that's like the main idea with our view of financial independence is being able to have multiple streams of income to be able to keep you living below your means, have all this excess so that way you can invest and make sure you have not all of your eggs in one basket, so to say, when it comes to retirement.
Diversifying.
Diversifying. Thank you. Gosh, you guys, it's been forever since I've done anything like sit down. So what would I say? Okay, my cat is crying. He is hungry. So just try to ignore him if you guys can hear him.
Yeah.
Okay, what would I say? So my husband's military, so we move a lot. I think a lot of people know that about military culture. I don't know if that's the right word, but we bought a home because the mortgage was great. It was about around 700 or something, so way better than rent. So we're like, okay, well, we're gonna be here for a while. Things changed. We ended up moving, but we're like, okay, we're gonna keep this home. Actually, before we decided that, we already thought, it was probably a year before that, we have our best friends actually listen to Bigger Pockets podcast, and they we're like on the exact same like wavelength with them and everything. So once they heard a podcast with Graham Stephan, and they sent it to us. We had no idea who he was at the time, and we listened to that, and just the idea of like, owning homes and having cash flow, renting out properties, and this whole new idea. And we're like, interesting. We just bought this home. Our friends recently bought their home. That was like they started talking about how they want to implement that into their retirement plan, their lifelong goal of financial independence. And so then me and Tim started talking about that. We're like, well, we're in a great position. If we ever do move, we should find a property manager and just rent it out, and we'll start building from there. And so we didn't plan on moving for a while, but we ended up moving. We did a little bit of what's the word?
Renovating?
Not renovating, but like some enhancements, upgrades to the property to make it more interesting. And so it rented for a good bit. We're actually going to be increasing the rent when these tenants come out because the market is much higher now. So we're like, okay, it's still a fair price. But we decided to keep it, one, because it was now an idea of that being a part of our retirement plan. But two, I don't know how to say this. Because we are already wanting to have rental homes into our retirement plan. We wanted to have 5. I don't know if I said that. We want to have 5 by the time we retire out of the military. And so we already have this home, and it's in a military area, and you're always going to have tenants. So I feel like this is like such a hack too. So I guess if somebody's listening, I'm like trying to word this right. But basically, people are always coming and going to your military bases. And it's kind of just like guaranteed. You're always going to have somebody renting your home if you're like within even like a 10, 15 mile radius of a military base. So it is like a really good idea. So anyways, we kind of thought about all these things. We're like, okay, this is kind of a no-brainer. So let's go ahead and rent it out. We're going to go ahead and start this. We got a property management company and decided to do that because the year beforehand, we kind of already started the conversation of what are we going to do to diversify, keep all of our eggs out of that big basket. Let's have lots of little baskets and Easter egg hunt. And so that's how we started. We ended up just getting a mortgage for ourselves, buying the home for ourselves because we thought we were going to be there a while. It was cheaper than rent, but life happens, so we made the most of it. And now that's kind of like our game plan when it comes to investing in properties, which, so we're going to probably keep around military bases, and they're everywhere in the country too. They're not just in Georgia or Kentucky or Texas or wherever it is. They're literally everywhere. So that's, if anybody is looking for, a good area where you're always going to have somebody renting out your home, you might want to do it near a military.
Makes perfect sense to us.
So that's kind of how we started it. We just found out about it a year ahead of time, and it just played out like the cards were just in our favor, I suppose. So we've been able to cash flow a few hundred, like right about 200. I guess I don't mind sharing that. About 200 every month. It more than paid for our mortgage, paid for the property manager, and then we just saved all that money.
Nice.
Actually, that's to tell, like we've been paying off principal. That's kind of been like something we've been doing, a bunch of different investments. But where was I going with that? I don't remember.
No, I think you answered it because that's brilliant. It's a very, to us, we've heard the story multiple times. It's not like it's something new. You heard it on Bigger Pockets. They have a whole podcast talking about this exact thing for other people to do it. It's very doable. And so it's great that you're able to cash flow it even after the mortgage and the management company. So that's awesome.
Mhm.
That's kind of the dream, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. And I think something too that I want to throw out there is like you can get like turnkey properties too. Like you don't have to have something that you have to put in $20,000 of renovations, especially if you don't have the money. Like sometimes if you're in a position where you already have this mortgage, like you bought this home, but life happens, you need to move, or like you found a better place where you'd be saving more money if you were renting or in a different home, like just start building them, like look into the property management costs and like maybe just start building from there. So our goal is 5 properties by the time we retire out of the military. So
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
And hopefully have them most paid off. That's like, I know that's kind of like a taboo topic in this industry, but we just want to be able to own, like actually have it like we own those things, you know?
Yeah. It's just a preference, you know? You don't have to worry about anyone's opinion.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, there's no one right way to do it,
Mhm.
even though the gurus will say that my way is the right way, but really there are a million ways to get to it, and it all depends on your personality and your individual circumstances and all of that.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, you know?
Mhm.
If you're going to have this huge mortgage hanging over your head, what does your sleep cost you, you know? Or how much is that?
Yeah.
How much is that worth to you? So
Right.
that's it. At the end of the day, that's what that is.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
also fun fact too, with being by military bases, like they know their employer. So if for whatever reason they destroy your home, they don't, but they know that most military members will know that. So your house is always pristine and spotless. They know where their employer is right down the road. So
Yeah.
throwing that out there if anybody's in that spot in their life. So sorry.
Hey, giving away secrets.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Hey, you heard it.
There you go. Well, Van Jam paid for that secret. She sent us a super sticker. Thank you so much, Van Jam.
Yeah. Thank you, Van Jam.
You really don't
I
have
love
to. You don't have
Yeah.
to, but we'll happily take these super stickers. But you don't have to.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It's very kind of everyone to be doing that.
Yes.
But thank you so much for being here, Van Jam.
Yeah. We're so
Oh, we
excited
got a
to have
comment
you.
here. Part-time hustle. If you reach a point of having 10,000 invested in a bucket of stocks that pay an average of 4%, you'll make an extra $100 a quarter to reinvest. So that's great. That makes a whole lot of sense to us. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense to everyone else in the audience, where, if you have a big bucket of money, that's what you're saving for. That's what you're investing for. It helps you make money. Your money is helping you make money. And so hopefully people understand that, if it's just in a bank account, it's going to be less than 1% savings.
Oh, gosh.
It's just not doing anything.
0.01.
Yeah, it's just terrible. And so it won't even keep up with inflation. And so it's really, this is a great example of part-time hustle put in here, that if it's at least 4%, the average of inflation is like 2.5 to 3%. At least it's beating inflation. But in general, we subscribe to the idea that the total stock market index is about between 7 and 10% on average. So we definitely want to at least do that. So that's why we heavily invest in that very steady income generating investments.
Right.
Yeah.
But also don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Of course, diversify. And also remember, this is just, I'm not a professional, but just a friendly word of advice. Make sure you have about 6 months of expenses, living expenses on hand. Unfortunately, I would suggest a high yield savings account, which is what we do. And a few years ago when we started it, it was at that 3.5%. It's not anymore. It's about 0.5%. It sucks. But it's better than a bank at 0.01% where you're getting pennies. You at least get, depending on how much you have, you get 10, 15, 20 bucks a month, whatever you have in there. But make sure you calculate it, figure out how much you spend, what you need to survive, your mortgage or your rent, your bills, your Wi-Fi, your phones, your food, your groceries. That's the same thing. Gas, pets, whatever that is. Make sure you have 6 months. I suggest that would be like my first starting point. Get that built up and have it available to you, and then start like kind of diversifying.
Van Jam had made that comment. here too,
I
have
like
some
that.
in a bank account for sure for emergencies, but invest the rest. Yeah. But that is so true, because that's the money that you need, like if your car breaks down or if you need a roof or whatever it is, that something happens, that you're not
COVID.
expecting, but you need that money right then.
Right.
Like you can't wait for the market to go up, or if it was in March of 2020 and the market was down, you don't want to sell and have to realize losses. So
Yeah.
that makes it so that you have that money when you need it,
Yep.
So you don't want to have all of your money in kind of risky areas or tied up where you can't access it.
Yeah. Yep. Amen to that.
Janie.
Yeah. Janine says index funds for the win. I love it. Yeah.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
So kind of getting back to kind of the streams of income, we recently have watched your videos where you're kind of taking a step back from reselling. In the past though, was that a big part of your strategy of multiplying your streams of income and all of that? Did at the point, did you see yourself doing it for a long time, or did you always think that, it's just kind of a hobby, kind of a side thing, and it's meant for bigger things?
Yeah, so I'm taking a step back from reselling content on YouTube. Not everything is going to be fully reselling, but I am like 97.2% sure I will be a part-time reseller for probably forever, because that's just
Okay,
I've kind of
excellent.
been like that, and I enjoy it, and it's something for me, something that I get to enjoy. I get to go to thrift stores, and now I have YouTube. I can film some stuff along the way, not have it solely focused around business and reselling and thrifting and everything. Like, there's more to me than just that, and I like to have connections with people. I'm a social person, so I'm like, I need to be able to relate in other avenues, because I don't know, I kind of, this is off topic, but I don't like to identify purely as, hi, my name's Brittany, I'm a reseller. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do you do? You know what I mean? Like, everybody introduces themselves as what they do for a living, and maybe it's just American culture, but I'm like, I'm Brittany. I enjoy working out. I enjoy traveling and spending time with my husband. And I also resell for, a means to make some income and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that dialogue. I just feel like there's more to people than their job and how they make an income. But going back to what you're saying, I do plan on reselling. I just want to tone it back a little bit. I just am going to be changing my business model, I guess, a little bit to keep up with what I can keep up with. So like 100 items max a month, but just making it where I have like a higher average selling price per item. So really like, fine tuning that to make it worth my time. But I mean, with reselling up until this point, I've made, a few grand a month on it, like with very minimal work. And I've enjoyed that for my life. I don't know. I feel like the keep growing. I know some people have to do that for their life circumstances. Mine aren't like that. Think like, everybody's different. So I just feel like whatever works for you. But I will always resell as a way of an additional income stream. It's not fully passive, obviously, but if you're still having to actively do it. But if you've done all the work, and like for me, like you take a break for a few months and then you keep getting sales, it does feel a little passive in that instance. Same way with YouTube. Like some of the videos that I made in the very beginning are still making me a lot of money. Well, money, I guess some people, whatever, a lot is a lot.
Right.
Or a lot is a different definition depending on who you're talking to. But it is kind of passive in a sense, because that work has already been done long ago, and I maybe spent 10 hours on it, and now I'm reaping the benefits over a long period of time. So YouTube is something that I want to branch more into as another stream. Two channels, this channel, and then my project channel with my husband, because that's something we're always going to do as well. Is just we were like that before the channel anyway. Like, we're always wanting to gain new skills and try new things, and if we can share it with people, and if we could put ads on it and make some money, then great. But we're always going to be doing it regardless. So and then we've sold things in the past, so that was another way to make income from those projects. So we're always just like doing these little things and dabbling here and there to advance our skills, but we also inadvertently end up making money too. So
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Just dabbling in things and making money off of it.
yeah.
I love that. You know, the idea of wanting to resell pretty much forever. You know, it's always interesting, always finding new things, always learning about new things, right? The pursuit of
Right.
knowledge and brands or whatever, the hottest things, and you know, the excitement of finding it at a thrift store when it's, you know, someone had just thrown it out and you get to find it for a discount and then try to resell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a rush.
Yeah.
And especially, I think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just was gonna say it's like, you know, it's a real life scavenger hunt, like treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
Camilla.
And once you know, kind of gain those skills of like knowing how to find the profit in thrift stores, you know, from these undervalued items, you don't really just want to leave that behind. Like, you worked hard to gain this skill set, you know, to be able to resell online. And it's just like, well, if I have this skill set and I can use it, I might as well, just at the pace, at the, you know, level that I want to use it for. But I think that's true for, you know, all sorts of aspects of our life. Like, once you have that skill set, you don't want to just be like, oh, well, never mind. You know, like, people who learn how to cook really well aren't like, okay, I'm never going to cook again. You know, that doesn't really happen. So why would it happen in kind of like other areas in terms of making money? So unless you really don't like it, you know, unless you like learned how to cook and you hate it, then,
could
you know, or like resell, you learn how to resell and you actually hate it, then you wouldn't want to do that. But I don't think anyone who is like talking about reselling on YouTube hates reselling. You know, I think most people who would be in that situation would, you know, not be chatting about it on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. And I want to throw this little kind of, I heard it, I don't know where I heard it from. If I did, I would give them credit. But I heard from somebody recently, maybe it was a YouTube video, I don't know. But you know how like typical higher education is a 4-year degree? You know, give yourself 4 years with whatever endeavor you're pursuing, whether it's reselling, whether it's investing in real estate, into stocks, or YouTube. I think that's kind of a good rule of thumb. Like, you become an expert at something, not an expert, but you become, you know, enough to be a professional in that area. After 4 years, you can get a job right out in whatever field you're in. So like, I feel like giving, it sounds kind of daunting. Like, there are resellers that can do it a year and now they're making, you know, in the they're making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month. You know, that's not the reality for most people. So I feel like if you can give yourself some grace and have it be a learning experience, I would feel like most people at the end of like that 4 years are like, okay, I'm solid in this skill set, regardless of what it is. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, exactly. I think in the financial independence world too, in addition to the reselling world, like, it does take a lot of kind of that patience and that kind of long-term thinking that is really difficult in like our world today, where, you know, you kind of see these people who, you know, are saying, you know, oh, get rich quick, you know, just do this thing and you'll, you know, turn around and you'll be great, you know, take my course on Amazon selling or whatever it is, you know, that, you know, I'm going to change your life in 30 days or whatever it is, you know, but really it doesn't work like that. And in finance and in reselling, it takes time to, you know, kind of build that foundation, build that base to be able to, you know, have that kind of freedom, those habits, like you were talking about at the beginning, to really build those habits so that they're kind of ingrained in who you are, so that it becomes natural rather than, you know, kind of like a struggle
at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Exactly.
felt that too with, like, you know, we go to the gym every morning. Like, it's really hard for us to take a rest day because we're always like active. And I know some people are like, oh, are you one of those people that just goes to the gym for fun? And it's like, well, after a decade, like, it's just a habit. Like, you know, it takes whatever 3 weeks to build a habit, but I think really it would be closer to 3 to 4 years. Like, if you're consistently going, like, it then just becomes ingrained in who you are. So regardless of whatever skill set that is, and it's like almost like retraining your brain to be what you want it to be. Like, whatever lifestyle you want, I truly believe it's attainable. Like, anything in life is possible if you want it enough. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Part-time hustle, it says, give yourself 4 years frame that's super smart. I suspect many people give up right before things are about to take off.
Yeah.
That's really important to also consider. The whole 4 years of college. Even 2 years. If you're going to get an associate degree, at least 2 years.
Yeah.
To make a fun comparison even more fun. But I think that as far as giving yourself time and part-time hustle is common, is that you really never know when you're about to take off. You kind of, if you stop way too early, like when you hit your first road bump or you kind of hit a wall for the first time, you never know exactly you never realize what your full potential is. So that's great advice.
I absolutely agree with that. Yeah.
So we've got Molly here. Hi, Molly. Thanks for joining us. Thanks so much for your videos. They have helped inspire me to look more into investing and understand good money management. Good. Hopefully that's the both of us.
Yeah.
Brittany's got great, more so on the business and management side.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of knowledge with that. So join Brittany on her channel where she talks more about that than we do.
Leave comments and videos for suggestions, because we're starting a new era, y'all. We're doing some new stuff, so we're not confined to certain things. So I would love to talk more about finance too. You guys have inspired me, so I love you always integrate it too. So I love it.
Yeah, little tidbits. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. So what advice would you give as we close out? What advice would you give to someone who's starting their financial journey? It's like, I don't know where to start, or I've got a mountain of debt, or whatever it might be.
Oh boy. Well, first of all, my heart goes out to you, because money is one of those things that is just, it's a necessary evil. Like, it will, for at least a period, I feel like in most people's lives, unless they were born with a diamond spoon in their mouth, most people are going to have to struggle with money at some point in their life, whether they do or their parents do, or if there's just a hiccup. Like, it is what it is. But I think understanding that you can still have happiness without money. Like, you don't need things. Sometimes you don't need, like, this is like very, maybe it's coming from a privileged point, but like sometimes you don't even need like a roof over your head to like know what you truly have, like to have happiness in life. And this is just my personal opinion, but I think what really matters is the journey and like, so cliche, but learning to be happy with who you are and in the present moment, because that's all you really have. You're not promised the next day. So, just give yourself grace, one day at a time. You'll obviously figure it out, but to give some suggestions on where to start, obviously, ideally, hopefully you have a job. And there's some people that you might need roommates for a while. Suck it up, get some life lessons out of it, and then move on. Close that chapter. Chapters will come and go. Friends will come and go. Relationships will even come and go. And that's just life. You have to learn to, try and weigh out the pros and the cons, find the good and bad, because there's good and bad in everything. But I guess the main point is know your money. Know everything that you are spending. And I'm talking like even just running into the gas station and getting an energy drink. Keep up with it. So this is, I feel like most people, like, there's obviously people that are very well off and they don't have to do this. And that is great, like awesome. But I think for most people, keep up with everything that you're spending and this is what we do. This is what we've done for a really long time. We've helped to mentor some of like Tim's old coworkers when it comes to finances. But we had just an Excel spreadsheet, Google sheet, and we like made everything between like, our income, what are like needs, like you have to pay this, your rent, your electricity, your gas, your phone, Wi-Fi. I feel like it's almost a necessity now too. Groceries and gas are needs too. For us, it was now it's a perk of being in the military. You usually have gyms for free, but now we have to pay for a gym because we're a little bit farther. But some things are needs and then there's wants. So I don't think there's anything wrong with budgeting some wants, like maybe depending on where you're at, $100 or $200 a month to spend on your wants. But budgeting what is a need versus a want. So this is kind of getting really into the topic, but anyways, we had all of that. We also budgeted in a need was saving. So, it built up over time. At one point, it was only a few $100s. Now it went up from 500 to 1,000 and then some and then some. So, but making that a bill, make your savings a bill to pay. And even if you can only afford $100, make it a bill, cut back on your wants and focus on the future, or a rainy day if like your car wants to, not work for you one day. Gosh, I mean, everybody's situation is so different, but I guess that my main thing is just keep up with every little thing that you're spending your money on. Every credit card expense, debit card expense, cash expense, know everything coming in, everything going out. And I think that's pretty good advice for whether you're just a person making money or needing to live, or if you have a business, that's a great way to start too, like know everything in versus out. And then you can really have an honest, real pep talk with yourself, as we talked about earlier, and know it's like, do I really need this? Probably not. Go and return it back to Target.
Right. Yeah, I love that.
You don't need that extra t-shirt that's retail price when you can go to Goodwill and get it for $1.
Yeah, exactly. Probably something better than from Target for $1 at the thrift store.
Exactly.
I love that advice. It's like especially the part where you said, what equates to me in my mind is that you pay yourself first, or part of what you're trying to do as a need is paying yourself. And so I love that, where that is a necessity. You figure that out first, and then you hopefully will have enough for your wants. But if you don't, then too bad. Too bad you can't have all the wants.
Yeah, it'll come though.
Exactly.
And I think that having that mindset of like, this isn't forever. I'm gonna work with the time I have. I'm gonna make the most of it, and we're just gonna go one day at a time. You'll wake up tomorrow, you'll have another chance to keep at it. So, and I think talking about it is another good tip too. Get some advice from maybe people that you trust, maybe people that are in a similar situation, and how they got out of the situation is good advice. And then also, like what I said earlier, the initial thing that I would say is, like, as you're paying yourself, when you're saving, just save up enough for whatever your needs are for 6 months. And I think you'll really set yourself off on a really good foot. So
awesome.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, Glamma made it, and she gave us not 10, but $20.
That's awesome. Thanks, Glamma.
Thank you so much, Glamma.
So
Wow. She
my
is so
gosh.
great. And we've got Justin, the flipping accountant here. He's gonna be on with us in the future too.
Woo, woo.
So we're gonna close this out because we have really enjoyed this, but I feel like we've gone 7 minutes over time. So we have we totally love this conversation. We have our final 4 though. We're just gonna ask you some questions to close this out. What is your favorite finance related book, or social media content, or whatever it might be, YouTube, Instagram account,
podcast,
or podcast?
To Bigger Pockets now from that initial encounter, and then they have a bunch of different segments now too. And then I guess YouTube, like I used to watch Graham Stephan a lot. I don't watch him as much anymore because I feel like I have like my solid foundation, but I will reference a lot of his videos, and then the Bigger Pockets podcast for the most part.
Yeah, we love Bigger Pockets, and listen to the Bigger Pockets Money podcast a little bit too.
So you already mentioned kind of in your reselling backstory that you started watching the Crazy Lamp Lady on YouTube when you first started reselling. Were there other kind of OGs that you would watch at the very beginning of your reselling journey, or social media that you would follow?
So this is also a fun fact. I'm only on YouTube. We actually got rid of all social media back in 2016. I haven't had an IG since. Only did a Facebook for the Reseller Summit that I ended up doing. But I don't have any other social media. I'm not on it. YouTube was the biggest thing. I just happened across the Crazy Lamp Lady, and I just thought it was fun. And I tried the hard goods. I wasn't good at it. So then once I realized I need to stick with clothing and shoes, I started, I think I just YouTube some, I don't know what I YouTube, but then I found Ashley at Hustle at Home Mom. And
oh yeah, we love her.
Yeah, she's so sweet. And I always watch her. And yeah, she was than her, and then I started finding everybody else. But those were like, that's how I initially found just the idea of reselling, was from the Crazy Lamp Lady. And then I started, Ashley is the reason why I started eBay. Like I tried it out. So yeah, that's where
Nice.
it really started.
Yeah.
Glemma says she's a Super 5 fan. We so appreciate you, Glemma.
Aw.
And Justin says, good to see you back, Brittany.
Thanks, Justin.
Okay,
Surely.
so you already told us that your favorite category is clothing and shoes. Can you tell us about maybe your highest dollar in that highest dollar sale in that category?
Oh gosh, you guys, I'm not anything fancy. I think the highest one was $150, like a highest sale, like really not very much. I think it was a standard piece I found from like a luxury consignment place that was on a sale rack because nobody wanted it. It was $7. I actually found 2 pieces that day. I was so pumped. Nothing crazy. I'm not like I'm trying to now start to delve into higher average selling prices.
Yeah, that's still on our bucket list too.
What's that?
Yeah.
That's still on our bucket list. Iskandar. Yeah. So
yeah, it's
awesome.
You'll know it too when you find it. I mean, even if they're awesome.
Yeah.
The last thing is if you can just plug your social media, really just your YouTube, but tell us, tell everyone what you've got in the pipeline, or whatever you want to say.
Oh, all right. Well, my YouTube channel should be linked below. It's Essential Endeavors with a U, because it's it's about us and our journey and stuff. That's kind of how I initially thought of the idea, and it's a nice global spelling. But ultimately, I came up with that idea because no matter what I pursued in life, regardless, I started with reselling, tutorial videos and whatnot. And as I progress, I'm like, well, this name will help to shift with me as I change and evolve and live life, because that's inevitable. Like at that time, I didn't know where I'd be 2 years from now, which is where I'm at right now, 4, 6, 8, 10 years from now. So I am glad I picked that name because it'll evolve with me over time. So I am still going to be doing some reselling content, some thrifting content, but I'm also going to start implementing more of just lifestyle, anything I want to chat about. Just kind of dabble, because I've always envisioned doing like videos, video editing, videography and stuff. So it's just like, I don't know, my channel, my baby, a way to connect with like-minded people. And I thrive off of that. I'm a very social person. So just come over and hang out, turn on the bell notification, because who knows when I'll upload. I'm becoming more consistent again, but you know what? That's life. Sometimes we're not picture perfect all the time, and it's just life, Yeah. But
you want to plug your second channel?
Oh yeah, thanks guys.
Because Justin asked you about it right here. Still doing the van life.
Oh, thanks, Justin. Yeah, it's I need to upload there too. I've been trying to get better with this channel since it's bringing in some revenue, and then I'll get back to videos. But it's called Tyga Tradesman. If you go to my channel and then you click over to the tab of channels, it's the only other channel on there. It's mine and my husband's project channel, because like I said earlier, we've always kind of done some renovation projects. We've always worked with our hands. Like we, couldn't afford nice furniture. So we decided to build it way back when. We built a shed. We renovated an old, very creepy looking van into a camper van, ended up selling that when we got to Texas. That took a few years to do just because of timelines. We have a teardrop camper that we're working on right now, but we're filming a series of renovating an old ambulance, like a box ambulance, into a tiny home, which we were originally going to live in, but we ended up getting a puppy. That's not going to work anymore in 100 square feet. So life happens, but we are going to keep it for road trips for a while, and then we'll probably end up selling it and then repeating the process over and over and over again. Because that's just who we are. We like to do projects. So if you guys are interested in anything like DIY, project related, then go and check out that channel. Might want to turn on the notifications there too, because I've been inconsistent, but there are lots of videos waiting to be edited by me.
We enjoyed that so far, and we'll actually edit the description to make sure we put your second channel in there too. But those are all, she has such a good eye for production, y'all, that you definitely want to follow that second channel as well. Brittany, you make it fun to see what's going on, how you're
Mhm.
tearing apart this ambulance, putting it back together. So that's a whole lot of fun. We can attest to that. So please follow her if you're not already following her on both of her channels. And we thank y'all so much for joining us. This has been so good, so great to have Brittany just talk about finances and stuff.
Mhm.
So again, thank y'all so much, and y'all have a good night. All right. See you later.